Hello, ladies. Hello, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining this technical webinar. It's called Storage Evolution and StarWind version 5.8 solutions. My name is Anatoly Vilchinsky, and today I will tell you about what was in the very beginning of the shared storage world, how it evolved, and what we have now, and how can we profit from this. Before we begin, I want to say that this topic is really important because we should always to know the latest things that are happening in technology. We should keep in the head what was before to understand all the tendencies of technology. Only in this way you can know how and where everything is going here. And of course, all the information was filtered by me, and I will gladly discuss everything at the end of the webinar in the question and answer session or you can email me. My email is actually on your screens now, or I have short email A like alpha, V like violet, at starwindsoftware.com. I'm always open for conversation with you guys, or ladies. Well, this webinar is based on the things that we are here in StarWind Company keeping in our heads when we are directing our products to evolve in one or another direction. We do believe in the things that we are doing here, and we are always trying to know what exactly people may need, what exactly storage in their environments will require. Okay, but first let's, as usually, go quickly through today's agenda. I will briefly explain first why do you need a storage. I mean, why a company needs storage. Then I will tell you about the options that you have when choosing the storage technology. Then we will compare them, and in the end I will tell you about a SCSI SAN solution provided by StarWind Company and all the features and benefits. In the end we will have a question and answer session, as I mentioned before, and where I'm gladly answer all the questions that you may have. Okay, let's start. By the way, make yourself comfortable in chairs because it will be a really long talk. Well, just to start, I will try to explain what is shared storage, why you should spend your time, cash, and what's more important, brain resources to have it, to install it in your production environment, to configure, and even here the headache is not finished because you will still need to support it, to configure it, to reconfigure it, to upgrade it. In the beginning, there was let's say, some company that had not a really huge amount of people working in it. It was account manager, sales manager, warehouse workers, maybe some call center guys, and of course the IT administrator squad. Everyone had its own business, but they had the common files that they used simultaneously. How they achieved this? How to achieve this? Uh, and here is the point when three whales of storage technology comes into play. DAS stands for Directly Attached Storage, NAS, Network Attached Storage, and SAN, Storage Area Network. But which one exactly do you need? At the beginning of the data mostly was saved on the local hard drives or directly attached drives to the server, and this is actually typical DAS solution. Let's review it. What is it basically? This is actually a local hard drive. It can use SATA drive, SAS drive, SSD drive, or even physical tape drive. Storage is directly attached by a cache to the processor. The technologies that allows to access the data on this type of storage, hereinafter referred to as media, could be any. Well, like fiber channel, SCSI, SSA, Ethernet. The input-output protocol used is SCSI. This means that generally only one single host or processor can access the data on this type of storage, but about this a little bit later. So you can connect this directly to the laptop, PC, or even entire server. This is really low-cost solution from point of view of each user and department. This is typical solution for small business because this technology allows simultaneous access to data, usually to only one single client machine. And this is what people in small companies need. Nothing more, nothing less. However, from wider perspective, from business growth standpoints, this is not the best approach if you need to share the data, because with DAS, this is simply impossible. So if you're using DAS, you need to write a file to, let's say, some USB stick, go to the person that you need to share this file with, put it into the PC. Well, you get the point. So the return of investments will be lower, much lower compared to other technologies due to the complexity of data sharing. Plus, don't forget that utilization of hardware resources in this case is very, very high. Underutilization, I mean. When using DAS, I can guarantee that there will be a lot of unused disk space. And I think it is enough to know why is it approach can be not the best one, can be not the best one. And I want to stress it once again, DAS is ideal for localized file sharing in environments with a single server or a few servers, for example, small business or for departments or work groups that do need to share information over long distances or across an enterprise. Small companies traditionally utilize DAS for file serving and email, while larger enterprise companies leverage DAS in a mixed storage environment that likely includes NAS and SAN. DAS also offers ease of management and administration in this scenario, and since it can be managed using the network operating system of the attached server. However, management complexity can escalate quickly with the addition of new servers, since storage for each server must be administered separately. But if you need just space where to store the files and that's it, this should be your approach, must be honest. Next options are NAS and SAN. And choosing between them is really good topic, by the way. What are they? Both are the network-based storage that allows simultaneous access of multiple computers to the data on it. Both of them can use Ethernet protocol, when not talking about fiber channel, of course, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. But this is definitely difference number one. So, if you have a couple of switches and Ethernet cables in your environment, there shouldn't be any problems to install NAS or SAN storage solution in your environment. And now I want to tell you about the differences between those solutions. First of all, when comparing those technologies, it's mostly the matter of block level data access against file level against block level. Now let's take a little bit closer look to the NAS solution. A little quotation from Wikipedia, we'll like it. NAS is a file-level computer data storage connected to a computer network providing data access to heterogeneous clients. This actually means that anyone can use data simultaneously. A lot of computers with different operation systems, for example, Windows, Mac OS, Linux, etc. But in case of simultaneous access to one file, to one single file, two or more client machines, you need to have some tools that would judge who is the owner of the file to prevent the data corruption. And that is what you need NFS and SIFs for. NFS, by the way, it was developed by the Sun Microsystems, stands for Network File System, and SIFs for Common Internet File System, and also known as SMB, Small Message Block. Must say that NFS was developed first, and it allowed common access to build file share on Unix operation systems. Microsoft was not long in coming and developed SMB. That was later improved, like to work with domain control policies, etc., and renamed in SIFs. So when using NAS, you are just installing the applications that allows implementing this technology, configure it. If using basic setup, this shouldn't be the hardest part of the work. And that's it. All users can connect to the file share. Now, as I mentioned before, NAS is using file level data access. Most common use of the file level data access is workgroups environment, when people are required to use some Word document, OpenOffice documents for Linux users, or spreadsheet applications. During request, all entire file is provisioned to proceed the request. So if another request from second computer will appear, it would have to stand in line and wait in the queue. But what if this file is large? I mean, really large, like 10 gigs or even more, and the request data is only like a couple of megs? It's obvious that this type of data, that the data will be inaccessible for writes. Oh, well, and it's really obvious that this technology, I mean NAS, wasn't developed to serve as high-end storage. But still, nowadays NAS is still required. Here is a list of the purposes when NAS is used mostly. File serving, file sharing, users' home directories, content archiving, metadata directories, email repositories, such as enterprise PST files, for example, peer-to-peer data sharing, yeah. And by the way, just for your information, NFS has been extended to the internet with WebNFS, a product and proposed standard that is now part of Netscape's communicator browser. That's dead. But it was a good idea, but it just dead. But okay, let's get back to business. Well, if you need high performance storage, then you should consider NAS, and that is a good start for the SAN topic. You should consider SAN, and what is it? Let's get back to Wikipedia again. A storage area network, SAN, is a dedicated network that provides access to consolidated block-level data storage. SANs are primarily used to make storage devices such as disk arrays, tape libraries, and optical jackboxes accessible to servers, though that the devices appear like locally attached devices to the operating system. Basically, this means the same so as when talking about NAS, but the data accessed on the block level, not on the file level. SAN technology becoming really important when something that is using a standalone application or some cluster requires low latency and really high performance. By the way, I just mentioned that SAN works on the block level. What this means? Remember how file level access works with those army of red angry guys? And you definitely remember that each file consists of the blocks of the data. And in case when using NAS, the second, third, and every another request to the data are waiting until the first request will be processed and the file will be released. Well, the same situation is SAN with the only significant difference. Now we're talking not about the entire file, but about the only single tiny little data block that the files consist of. Basically, this means that requests will move much faster, I mean much faster in the queue. What I can say more about the block level access. Databases are probably the largest example of block level data access in the data center today. When an application or on the network requests information, the request is handled by a server and the correct chunk of data are returned to the client. Only the server knows where the data comes from and or where it's located within our storage subsystem. Because the server has to manipulate the data prior to sending it out to the client, we want it to be as close to the server as possible. In this instance, close has more to do with direct control rather than distance, as you understand. SAN works best for these types of applications: databases, server clustering, especially server clustering, messaging applications, backups. Backup also is in a priority list. Data replication, grid computing, data warehousing, recovery archives, stream video, storage, and applications that requires low latency and high bandwidth for data movement. As you can see, this is really enterprise level applications and services and stuff. And as you all understand, when talking about SAN, we're talking about serious business here. Okay, you have learned about NAS and SAN both. Now let's compare them a little bit. There are some common features and options for both technologies, like restore connections automatically in case of network failure, for example. So I will not mention those common options for, well, obvious reasons. Now let's see first what do we have in the pluses of those solutions. NAS can be used in heterogeneous environment. This means that any operation system can use data stored on NAS-based storage. Windows, Mac OS, Linux, anything. Also, different NAS storage nodes can be placed in a different physical location and it would still function as a single storage. And the last one about NAS is that it can be managed through the web interface. Well, it's really useful because you don't need to install any management software to make some changes in NAS configuration, and all you need is just your browser. And yes, of course, the problem starting when you're using some laggy browser. I will not point on any, but we all to know what we are using for on the fresh installed operating system to download Firefox, Opera, or Chrome. Okay, now about the SAN. First two pluses are addicted to the fact that SAN was developed for high-speed environments. Lower physical layer overhead and traditionally high speed, you're getting them both when using SAN. You can also see homogeneous server consolidation like a plus. This means that if you have two servers that have same operation system, well, for example, of course, approximately same hardware, you can combine them into the SAN storage. And now, after the pros, there should be the cons. I think everything is clear here. NAS is slower compared to SAN, and this is fact that NAS users just need to deal with. On the other hand, SAN have some issues when talking about heterogeneous environment. I've mentioned about this a little bit earlier, if you recall. But in my experience, I wouldn't say that this is some kind of major issue. Low distance spans, well, I don't think that if someone who wants a high performance environment with network-based storage, well, I really doubt that they will place different machines in different corners of the earth. I think you will agree with me in this. Okay, and in a nutshell, NAS devices are storage appliances, large simple-purpose servers that plug into a network. These appliances perform one task, and they do it well. The capacity of large NAS appliances is typically in the TB range, while SAN solutions reflect multi-server, multi-storage networks that may grow to the hundreds of TBs. A SAN acts as a secondary network to a LAN, and every connected server that requires access to the tertiary network has a fiber connection to the SAN or Ethernet, of course. Another key distinction between NAS and SAN solutions in the concept of heterogeneous file sharing. NAS appliances define heterogeneity at the file or data block level, while SAN solutions normally define heterogeneity at the volume level. Out of box, a NAS appliance allows Unix and Windows clients to share the same file in the SAN. It's just the same file. In the SAN storage system, not that actual data is shared. The storage is shared at the cabinet level by the partitioning a physical storage device, assigning logical volumes to a given server, and in most of cases, a Windows server is prevented from accessing a Unix volume and vice versa. Both methods allow performing data backups and restores, each providing their own benefits. In a NAS environment, the client makes a file system call over the network as opposed to execute device-oriented commands from a server to storage in the SAN setup. Okay, now let's take a closer look at the SAN types. There are two main ones. FC stands for Fiber Channel and iSCSI, Internet Small Computer System Interface. Both technologies are good, no doubts. But what differs them? To put it simple, fiber channel uses optical fiber, coaxial copper or twisted pair copper cabling to transfer data at speed of 1 gigabit per second, 2 gigabit per second, 4 gigabit per second, or even 8 gigabit per second. Fiber channel can operate in point-to-point switched and loop models. However, fiber channel has been widely criticized for its expense and complexity. For example, a specialized HBA card is needed for each server. Each HBA must be connected to a corresponding port on a fiber channel switch, creating the SAN fabric. Popular HBAs include the ATA technology, incorporated celerity FC for ES HBAs, the Emulex and stuff. And the QLogic Corporation, well, just some vendors developing FC hardware. And we all do know those vendors, and we know that they are not from the cheap ones. Every combination of HBA and switch port can cost thousands of dollars for the storage organization. Once LAN are created in the storage, they must be zoned and masked to ensure that they are only accessible to the proper servers or application. These processes add complexity and costly management overhead to fiber channel SANs. It is known that the cost and complexity of fiber channel has kept SAN deployment out of reach for small and mid-sized business sometimes. There is nothing new about the idea of sending storage data over an IP network, and well, the VCIP and the IFCP protocols specify the means of sending fiber channel data over the IP network, but iSCSI is the first protocol that allows native SCSI command end-to-end over IP. And by the way, you should mention that even when talking about fiber channel, about the specifications, about all the stuff, it's really not easy to understand for when you're hearing for first time, yeah. And just imagine how it will be when you should just manage it, to configure this fiber channel storage. Well, headache, my friends, headache. Okay, iSCSI emphasized the idea of pervasive Ethernet environment. Every organization, starting from the smallest ones up to the such business giants like Walt Disney or even US Army, that definitely uses Ethernet LAN, can use it. You don't need to have amount of expensive and unnecessary hardware to deploy SAN. You don't need specially educated staff to manage the SCSI SAN. You don't need to spend annual income of Libya to have it all. All you need is your existing Ethernet LAN and couple of servers, and that's it, voila. How it works. iSCSI. When an end user or application send the request, the operation system generates the appropriate SCSI command and data request, which then go through encapsulation and, if necessary, encryption procedures. A packet header is added before the resulting IP packets are transmitted over the Ethernet connection. When a packet is received, it is decrypted if it was encrypted before transmission, and disassembled, separating the SCSI commands and requests. The SCSI commands are sent on to the SCSI controller and from there to the SCSI storage devices. Because iSCSI is bidirectional, the protocol can also be used to return data in response to the original request. By the way, sorry, this slide is not the best one to illustrate all of the just said, but I will improve it a little bit later if I will understand how. Okay, let's move on. Now let's talk about performance. It's really widely known that on practice there is no significant difference from, well, from practical part. They both FC and SCSI, and they both do show good and stable results. When using NICs with the same bandwidth, numbers are pretty much the same. On the diagrams below that I have found after like 3 minutes of googling, you can see some of them. As you can see, SCSI showed a little bit better results, but there is one significant point that I want to mention and to pay attention to. Using only one NIC on the storage server with fiber channel technology, you can achieve wire speed up to, well, 8 gigabit per second. 8 gigabit per second, that's a really good number, by the way. But 8 gigabit per second, this is the maximum speed that you can achieve with FC without really big and significant investments. Yes, there are NICs and technologies that allows to achieve like 5,000 megabytes per second, but they do cost a fortune. In the same time, 10 gig Ethernet cards are not too expensive. 40 gig Mellanox NICs pass test successfully, and I even heard that 100 gigs are testing now. So knowing this, it is obvious that Ethernet-based technologies are much more flexible. And as you can see, if you are monitoring IT development world, that Ethernet technologies are growing and improving really fast. I will not say actually that FC is evolving slower for sure, but this is how it seems for me personally. And once again, I will discuss it in a Q&A session or via email conversation with you if you have some points that you want to share with me. And so now we're actually logically came to the SCSI. Before you will see the next slide, and I will start telling you about StarWind Solution, what StarWind Solution can offer to the world. I want to mention that there are hardware SANs and software SANs. I mean SCSI SANs. And I'm a big fan of software solutions since they are, as for me, they can provide the flexibility. I will not dive deep why, I'm sorry. And flexibility is very, very, very important nowadays. When every day some new technology is invented and you don't need to purchase entire new box to implement this technology. I like when you can just buy this new thing, let it be faster hard drive, more CPU, or just more RAM, plug it in, and that's it, and it will work. I like it a lot, guys. I think you will agree with me in this too. Okay, so Ethernet-based products are much less expensive. Well, just like little conclusion. Ethernet-based products are much less expensive than FC. Plus, they're readily available, and management and maintenance are well understood. For many companies, not only for small and medium-sized, but for big ones with people who knows what they are paying for, that are considering storage utilization, SCSI is, as for me, really preferable. Okay, so now let's see what we've done here in StarWind to improve the storage, to make it better, to make it cheaper, to make the people happy. First of all, what it does. Whoop. Sorry. What StarWind can provide as a SAN software. First of all, you can share the entire hard drive and get a good performance if using SSDs or SASs. As well, you can share the tape drive, that is, as it known, used to store the archives and bank, Xenos, some governments, institutions, etc. Create virtual tape library that will emulate tapes and will use HDD to store the data instead of tapes. You can even share the USB stick or CD drive. But what is more important, you have ability to create virtual hard drive and share it, even create a snapshot from it and schedule them. I mean, taking snapshots, of course. But snapshots are actually like advanced feature of our software, so let's review all of the advanced features now. So, as I told, snapshots. By the way, they can be used as thin provisioned, so you will use as much disk space as you require, not a byte more. As I mentioned before, StarWind can be used with any operating system or application. And by the way, StarWind SAN software is certified with VMware, Microsoft, and SAN server. Among our advanced features, you can find the mirroring. What is it? Briefly, you have two VHDs. One is serving to store the data and simultaneously replicating of the data to the remote storage server that can be located not only in the same building but in another city. So, if you will be in the situation where you will lose primary data store, let's say due to electricity failure, some human factor, or tsunami, meteor, Godzilla, no matter, and connection with it will be totally lost, you can simply establish connection with the server on the remote site and continue to run your production. Okay, mirroring is good, but what if you could have something better? For example, HA, high availability. Let me explain. On the diagram below, you can see some basic virtualized environment with Hyper-V cluster like an example. Similar to mirroring, you also have two live copies of your data when using HA, but in this case, the failover and failback is totally automated. You don't need to do anything manually. You can simply set up the storage, install it in your IT environment, and spend some time with your friends or family. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. And if your environment consists of clustered applications that is fed by the StarWind HA, you can be sure that your production will be up and running even if 50% of the server will be dropped. And also, we have the special offer for those users who prefer Hyper-V to other hypervisor called StarWind Native SAN solution. Using it, you will have possibility to run highly available storage cluster and the clustered Hyper-V running only on two physical hosts. So you have the same level of reliability and availability of your virtual machines, but you can utilize your existing hypervisor host. What does it mean for the customer? Only one important thing. You save your money. You shouldn't purchase additional two machines, and you can implement the switches that were required previously somewhere else. So it's a huge saving. I also want to pay your attention to deduplication. What that thing for, you would ask. Let me explain. Let's imagine that we have few hosts with some VMs, email server, database, or anything else. What StarWind is doing is analyzing the data and searching for the similar data blocks. And on the SAN side, only one of similar data block is stored plus map table to it. Other words, if you have three similar virtual machines, 50 gigs each, they will take only 50 gigs space instead of 150 on the SAN. I even can bet that its number will be even less than 50 gigs because there are definitely similar data blocks within one virtual machine. On experience of our beta testers and our users, up to 90% of disk space was saved when using StarWind's deduplication feature. By the way, before version 5.8, deduplication was experimental, but now it's ready to use in the real production environment for 4 months almost. And as you may know, StarWind can offer the backup plugin. For now, we can offer the product that can seamlessly backup the Hyper-V virtual machines. Let's quickly overview what the feature it can offer. Agentless architecture. As you may know, in short, you don't need to reboot nor physical host, neither virtual machine after the backup software will be installed. And Everybody knows how painful this question may be. Global deduplication. This feature helps you to store the space on your physical storage. On experience of our customers, up to 90% disk space, as I mentioned before. Instant VM Restore. Our backup solution is providing backups in the native format for Microsoft Operating System (VHD). Thus, an entire virtual machine or an individual object from any application or file system can be restored almost instantly by starting it directly from an archive. This feature minimizes downtime by running VM from a deduplicated backup file. Restore of individual files. It is necessary to attach an archive to a virtual machine as a new volume and copy the files intended for restore. Simple and quick. I think we all like this way, right guys? Support of Windows Native SAN service. This means that backup procedure is really reliable and very fast. Not too bad too, huh? Incremental backup, and once again it saves space. First backup takes all the space that entire VHD takes, but during all other backups only changed and the new data will be written. I would like also you to guys know that in a month or even less, we will have the backup product for VMware hypervisors, and I saw it and it looked really useful as for me. And one more really important thing. Sometimes people just need to have NAS and SAN simultaneously. And of course, you, everybody, me also, that understands that no one wants to spend much money. Well, my friends, we've got a good news for you. Using StarWind, you can create NAS. You can benefit from NAS and SAN both using only one solution, only two servers. Technically, it would look like this. You have two StarWind servers. You're creating shared storage, HA preferably, connecting to them with two servers with the Windows Server 2002 installation that includes Hyper-V and what's important, file share roles. If you want your file share to be fault tolerant, of course, you need two machines. Installing a couple of roles and features and creating file share, and that's it. The data is available to be shared like NAS. One more thing that should be mentioned. You can virtualize both storage area network and network attached storage. The choice of whether to implement SAN or NAS should be depend on the performance you want and it's easy of use. NAS is file-based storage as I mentioned, and it's less expensive and easiest for organization to work with. SAN is block-based and that's more expensive but provides better performance. And actually, this is the end of the stories that I wanted to tell you. And here should it be the conclusion part, but I would actually prefer to leave it for your own discretion since it was a huge topic, it was a big topic, and unfortunately I hadn't enough time to highlight all the points, all the positions that all the technology have. But I would still think that, oh, just leave. I will just leave the conclusion for your discretion. Okay, so as I promised you, now I have the question and answer session. So, by the way, I really believe that there will be questions like if the video with the webinar recorded will be available. Yeah, it will be. The video definitely will be available. I think in a couple of days it will be uploaded on our website and it will be opened to view. So, type your questions. I'm open. Question from Anton Sherkhonov. What is the connection link to the remote site is not very good. Will mirroring work? Well, Anton, it depends on what do you mean by saying not very good. And actually, it also depends on what amount of data are we talking about. If we are talking about 10 megs per day, well, I think even some DSL connection will be good. Uh, I think that for mirroring, and like if your environment is heavy loaded, if your NAS should be heavy loaded, then you should use, well, not less than 10 megs data link for now. But in a future release, we will have the solution that will be included in StarWind SAN and Native SAN edition. Oh no, just StarWind SAN edition. Will have the replication with compression. Basically, this is mean that in future you will have ability to use really low bandwidth. I mean, really low bandwidth. As far as I remember, in our test environment, we have used like 40K 40K bandwidth, something like it. And actually, the replication through this bandwidth works. And yes, Anton, I cannot disagree with you that SCSI is not really a good protocol to replicate via slow connection, but we're still using it, and everything is working in our test environment. So next version should be released, let me recall, in the end of May. Well, I would prefer saying that it will be available at the beginning of the summer. And this will be version 6 with total functional replication feature, and like beta, it will be available in 5.9. That should be available in well, I hope that it will be available in 2 or 3 weeks. One more question from Anton. Does dedupe works across different virtual disks? Well, if you're storing all the virtual disks, um, I mean, let me clarify. If you're storing like 10 VHDs, virtual disks, right, on the same deduplication drive, then yeah, it works. This is called global deduplication, actually, and yeah, we do have it. And by the way, our duplication is inline duplication. Question from Ahmad Badawi. Uh, I tried to use the snapshot, but actually it is not straightforward and need a lot of procedure to retrieve data. Are you going to improve the snapshot to be just like sandboxes, for example, Ecologic? Yeah, I think we will work on the snapshotting. I think you're talking mostly about the recovering from the snapshots, right? Yeah, I think it will be improved. I cannot say when exactly, but it is obviously that we want to make the recovery procedure more reliable. But just to be honest, I wouldn't say that the procedure is too complicated, really. If you have some complexity, well, just email to support. You can see it, the email on your screen now from the right side, support@starwindsoftware.com, and I think it will be my colleague who will contact you and you will discuss it. Um, Anton Sherkhonov continue asking about the duplication. His initial question was, does dedupe works across different virtual disks? And here's the clarification. I'm not talking about VHDs, I'm talking about StarWind virtual disks. Can you dedupe one StarWind virtual disk against another StarWind virtual disk? Well, actually, no. If you have 3 dedupe drives, they are functioning like separately. So if you're putting like 10 Windows servers, oh, okay, let's imagine in this way. You have 10 dedupe drives and you have 10 operation system. You put in each operation system on one operation system per each duplication drive. They will not be deduplicated. Well, that's it. If you would have one deduplication device and you would put it 10 operation system on it, then yeah, all of them would be duplicated. By the way, thank you for a question, Anton. Question from Jonathan Layton Haggett. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. When will Dedup plus HA be available at the same time? Version 6. Jonathan, it will be available in version 6, and as I mentioned before, it should be released at the beginning of the summer. And we really hope that it will be on the time. Okay. Actually, that's it. I don't see any new questions. Oh, we have a couple of questions. Sure, Anton, go ahead. What is the max size of the virtual disks? Actually, we don't have like exact hour limitation of virtual disk. Mostly, the virtual disk is limited by the when talking about non-dedupe images, limited with the limitation of NTFS, not file systems that of Microsoft that we are using to put the image files on. So as you know, when using MBR NTFS formatting, it will be 2 terabytes maximum, but this limit is off when using GPT NTFS formatting. And when talking about the duplication, well, it depends on the block size. There is a variety of the maximum size that should depend on the block size used in the duplication drive. I don't even remember. And yes, it is definitely limited to the size of physical disk. Uh, okay, another question from Anton. Anton is really active today. Way to go. Isn't it limited to the size of physical disk? Uh, well, actually, yeah, it's limited too, but it was too obvious. That's why I haven't mentioned it. And another question is, what is the duplication block size? Well, okay, nice question, by the way. Uh, as I mentioned, and as you know, of course, file contains a lot of data blocks, and the block size that is in StarWind is the block size that we are the size of the blocks that we are analyzing. It means that if you have 10 max file and you, well, I'm just trying to put it simple, sorry. Data blocks is a blocks of the data that the size of the block data blocks that is StarWind analyzing. So basically what this means, that means the less block size you will use, the more the duplication rate you will achieve. Because the less data block used, the more possibility that there will be that this block will be I'm sorry, the less data block. Well, sorry, there's a lot of questions. I'm trying to read them all. The last data block will be used in StarWind. Yes, this is StarWind device data block. The more possibility is that this data block will have duplicate in the data that should be stored on the StarWind storage. And in this way, the duplication rate will be higher. I hope I have answered the question, Anton. Good. Anton said yes. Uh, okay, I still don't. Yeah, another question from Anton. So you don't do variable size dedupe. Uh, like we do, but you should create like more than one block size. Uh, you can use like, and yeah, by the way, the smaller data block size you will use, the lower performance you will get if you have like not the high-end server. So if you can use, if you want to use different data blocks, you need to create different devices. Okay. Okay, that was the last question from Anton. Okay, Anton, thank you for your questions. I really enjoyed by this conversation. By the way, if you will be interested in our product, you can contact me directly. My email on your screen, anatoly.vilchinsky@starwindsoftware.com, or short email avis@starwindsoftware.com. By the way, that is to all of you guys too, because you can email me directly. I will gladly discuss all of this. Also, I will be really glad to have some feedback about the webinar and how, in your opinion, we can improve it. Okay, thank you very much, guys, for your time. I really enjoyed it. We have an interesting question here. I really like that I had the possibility to share my knowledge, to share my opinion with all of you. And well, I think I just want to wish you a good day or evening, and to wish you all the best. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you on our further webinars, and have a nice day. Goodbye.